From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5+. It is a busy week in sports. Got a lot of things converging at one time, and there's a lot of excitement right here in the city of Nashville. If you'd like to join in on the conversation tonight, the phone lines are open as always, 737-7767. You have the Nashville Predators coming to the final week of the regular season. The Preds currently sit in the wild card #1 position in the Western Conference with 3 games left to play. They play tomorrow night against Calgary, then Thursday on the road in Colorado, followed by the second game of a back-to-back Friday in Arizona. 3 games left. Preds have a 1-point lead on Dallas for that first wild card spot. They are 4 points up on Vegas and the playoff cut line. So what that means right now, to clinch a playoff spot and make it to the postseason for an 8th consecutive year, the Preds need just 1 more win in regulation or a Vegas loss in regulation. That would clinch it right away. Obviously, there's some other formulas that would work in there too, but that's the simplest thing, and it could happen tomorrow night with the Preds at home against Calgary and Vegas in Dallas against the Stars, both those teams trying to catch up with the Preds. Speaking of the #1 wild card position, for the Preds to secure that, and they have a 1-point lead plus the tiebreaker over the Stars at this point, the Preds either need to gain 5 more points some way, somehow over the final 3 games, 2 wins and an overtime loss would do it, or have Dallas not get there. It's really a combination of it. So if the Preds get 1 win and Dallas loses in regulation once and loses in overtime another time, that would cover it for the Preds. It's a combination of 5 points gained or 5 points missed by Dallas, which will earn the Preds that #1 wild card spot. So here they are in a great position to get back to the postseason once again. It was a battle last night against the Wild. They lose with 1 second to go. Dmitry Kulikov with a breakaway goal off a turnover near center ice, and he's able to beat David Riddick for the winning goal with 1.3 seconds to play. Disappointment there, but a key point that the Preds did pick up by getting that game to overtime, and they showed a lot of heart coming back from 1-goal deficits on 3 different occasions. It is also NFL Draft Week. The Titans armed with 7 picks going into Thursday night and round 1, including the number 26th overall selection. And it's an important draft for GM John Robinson, who has had some issues the last couple of years in the draft. Now, things should be more normal this year, but you still got to get the job done. And there's some pressure on him. And it's weird to say that because he's done such a great job in building this team. 6 straight winning seasons. They've been to the playoffs 3 times in the last 4 years. They've won back-to-back division titles. They got the 1 seed. They got to an AFC championship game a few years ago. There's a lot of success here, and John Robinson is certainly a huge reason for that. That being said, his last 2 draft classes haven't been very good. A lot of misses in there, including high picks that you count on having to come in and help you out. And they just simply haven't been able to do that for the Titans. So a big week ahead. We can talk about that as well. And the week ends with the first ever game inside the new Geodis Park, the largest soccer-specific stadium in the United States and Canada, set to open for its very first game Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock for kickoff between Nashville SC and the Philadelphia Union. After 2 months on the road, the boys in gold finally come back home and get to start their 2022 home campaign in their new digs. And let me tell you, this place is spectacular. When you go, you are going to absolutely love it. The atmosphere should be amazing. When they've got 30,000 there, it should be very loud. It should be very rowdy, and should be a great place to walk games. So there's a lot of things to get excited about this week in terms of Nashville sports and what's going on, and we invite you to get in on the action here tonight on the program. 737-7767. We'll talk about the Preds. We'll talk some NFL draft, and we can certainly talk about the new soccer stadium or the start of the season as well. 737-7767, the number. We had a caller, but seemed to have lost him. So If you're out there, Phil, call us back. We'd love to get to you here on the program tonight. Anybody else as well, call us up, be a part of the conversation. But we'll start with the Preds and that game last night. It was a struggle. Second game of a back-to-back over the weekend. Tough loss in Tampa Bay on Saturday, 6-2. Preds found themselves down. They found themselves in the penalty box a lot last night. They were down 1-0, 2-1, 4-3. They kept battling back. Dante Fabro's goal with 5 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the third period tied it up for the Preds and helped them get that huge point despite the loss at overtime. Difficult loss for sure, but the Preds able to get a point, which sends them a little bit closer to their ultimate goal. One, getting to the playoffs, and two, hopefully getting that number one wild card position. Because while Calgary's very good, the Preds have beaten Calgary in every game they've played so far this year. And you would avoid the Western Conference's top seed in Colorado. Also, if you want to look ahead, the second round matchup against either the Wild or the Blues in the Central Division pod, not great. You go out west and you get either the Oilers or the Kings. The Preds have dominated the Kings this year. And the Oilers, I don't think, match up as well as, say, the Wild or the Blues. So a more favorable path for sure if you can get that number one wild card spot, and that's certainly what the Preds would like to do. All right, here we go to the phones. We'll say hello to Mike. Mike, you're first up tonight. Welcome to SportsLine.
Thank you. I'd like to make a statement, then I'd like to ask a question if you'd allow that.
Sure.
Okay. Nashville, I grew up in Nashville back in the 40s and 50s, and just about the only excitement in town was the high school athletics and the old Nashville Vols. But now what we have is we are literally saturating with sports activities. Your job, you jump from one sport to another, and you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
How much can Nashville support in the future with these tremendous programs that we're going to have? I mean, the sports dollar, is it big enough in Nashville to support all of these multi-million-dollar enterprises? I'd like to hear you comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. So far, it has. To this point, it has. I think the fans have shown up. Even if you look at the Nashville Sounds, which is a AAA baseball program, compared to talking to the NFL or the NHL or MLS, Nashville Sounds led minor league baseball in attendance last year. They're consistently, since opening First Horizon Park, been in the top 5 of all of minor league baseball. There is an entertainment dollar that goes with sports in this town. And I think, to their credit, all of the franchises, whether you're talking the Sounds, certainly the Predators, who do it better than anybody in sports, as far as I'm concerned, Nashville SC, Titans maybe to a little lesser extent, all of those teams look at their job not just to put on a game or a match, but to entertain you when you walk into their facility. And I think they've done a really good job of it. And for that reason, you have a lot of fans out there, whether that is college-age students or maybe young adults who are going, they're single, they're going with their friends, looking to have a good time, whether it's some young families with children that want to get them out and expose them to that type of thing and think it's a family-friendly environment to show up to, or maybe it's just other adults, big-time sports fans, as you might typically classify them, who want to be there, who you maybe would have always expected. But Nashville draws on all of that, and the entertainment and sports package has worked well in this town. So attendance has been good. The corporate dollar keeps increasing here. We obviously know how many different corporations, tech companies, things like that have moved to the mid-state over the last several years, maybe a couple decades, and how much that has meant. It certainly meant a lot for the corporate dollar in this town and what goes to these sports teams as well. So to this point, it certainly has mattered, and it certainly has been successful. I've talked about it many times, and we can continue this conversation if you want to talk about the in almost certainty, new football stadium coming in the next handful of years. You look back at Nashville and what's changed it from, certainly 5 or 6 decades ago, like the caller Mike was talking about when he was growing up, to where we are today. But even if you go back 25 years to the mid to late 90s, before Bridgestone Arena was officially completed, or before the Coliseum was built on the east side of the river, Nashville was a completely different place. And it wasn't just the sports. The entire city was a completely different place. A lot of those companies weren't here. Certainly the expansion, a lot of it wasn't here. A lot of the building and growth wasn't here. A lot of the opportunity wasn't here. But the thing that really flipped it, and the thing that really made Nashville a major league sports city, no pun intended, was the major league sports that came. And it came with the building of Bridgestone Arena and what is now Nissan Stadium. Bringing those professional sports teams in changed the face of Nashville and how it was perceived both locally and nationally and internationally as people looked at the city from the outside. And as the growth came around those teams, as things sprouted up here, more and more people started looking at Nashville as a destination to go. Whether that be tourism, whether that be moving your business here, corporations wanting to open up branches around here, all of that happened. And I think it's not a complete correlation. It's not the only reason it happened, but there is a direct correlation to the investment in sports 25 years ago to where we are today as the IT city, or one of the destination places in the country for so many different people. So yes, I do think sports can continue to thrive here in Nashville, even with more options. It's definitely different. It's different today with Nashville SC than it was 11 years ago, 12 years ago when I first got here. It's just different. There's more interest in that. Vanderbilt baseball is a bigger thing today than it was then. They'd never been to a College World Series when I first got here. They've been to 5 in the last decade. They've won 2 national championships. The Vandy boys are a thing that a lot of people in Nashville know about. Now you throw in Tennessee being number 1 in the country. College sports are still a huge factor. All of the professional sports have been upgraded. The Titans are better than they were when I got here. The Predators are better than they were when I got here. Nashville SC is here and about to go into a brand new stadium that's incredible. And the Sounds, that ballpark, only 7 years old, and it's fantastic. A great experience to go out. All of the offerings have been better. And the question is, as we move forward, I don't think it's can the dollar go far enough. It's basically, what do you want to go see? Because when this new stadium comes, you're going to have more and more opportunities that won't just be about the local teams or what they can bring. It's not going to be a stadium series game that the Predators can only bring in then. It's going to be, you could have a World Cup match here sometime, maybe. You could have the Super Bowl here. You could have the Final Four here. And how badly do you want to go to that as a sports fan? Because the money's going to be there. I mean, those are international. Those are national dollars that will go into that sort of thing. So what happens then is, as a local sports fan, how bad do you want to get in on that action? Do you want to be a part of those crowds? Do you want to be a part of those environments? And that's the really cool thing that's coming up here. And then the other big question out there on the horizon, I think the new football stadium will slow this down a little bit, but there's no question Major League Baseball is interested in Nashville. And how that works out, and if they can figure out a way to do it, I think there will be no such thing as a public-private partnership for a baseball stadium, for a major league team. I think that is going to have to be completely funded privately to make that happen and to make it palatable for this city, especially on the heels of what we're about to do with the football stadium. But there's interest there from Major League Baseball to get into this market for all the reasons we just talked about. And I think they'd love to do it sooner rather than later. And so if all the pieces can come together, you could have another 81 dates a year where you've got Major League Baseball playing in a stadium in Nashville or somewhere in Middle Tennessee. And I think there's the appetite here for people to go. I also think you've got the tourism dollars. I mean, think of how many times we've talked about the fans who come with other teams to make a football weekend a huge Nashville weekend, or to make a Predators game a show, a chance to go to Broadway and see your favorite team play in Nashville. I think that would happen even more with baseball, because you're talking about 3 and 4 game series. How many Yankees fans or Red Sox fans would come to Nashville for the weekend for an opportunity to see their team play and hang out in one of the coolest cities in the country, and one very different from their home city? I think you'd see a lot of that. And so I think the dollars will go around. I think the attendance can go around for even more sports here in Nashville. But there are certainly more options today than there have ever been before. And I think they're better options today than we've ever had before. And so as a sports fan, you really have the luxury to sit back or take your plate down the smorgasbord, as Mike said, and really sort of decide. You don't have to take everything on the menu, but you can decide, do you want to go all in on something, or you want to dabble here and there and fill up your plate that way? But there's a lot of different options for the sports fans in this city, no question about it. I was talking about the Preds. I want to get to this before we go to our first break, but maybe we will not. Maybe we will take our break after all. The Preds with a huge win last night, a huge win of a point, losing in overtime. But they go up a point on the Stars for that number 1 wild card spot. They already had the tiebreaker in hand. An opportunity now over the last 3 games here in this final week to secure not just a postseason berth, but also secure that number 1 wild card spot. So we'll see if they can get it done. Certainly the odds are in their favor. And it's a fun time of year if you're a hockey fan, that's for sure, because these games down the stretch at Bridgestone have been fun. And obviously once they get to the playoffs, we all know what the scene is like in Smashville when you have playoff hockey, and it looks like we're headed for it for an 8th consecutive year. We'll come back. We'll switch gears. We'll talk a little bit of the NFL draft with the Titans, get some analysis from our buddy Jonathan Hutton as well. Stay tuned. That and more of your phone calls right here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.